The education emergency that has been enforced by the current Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. This is a 4-year emergency. This is not only to revamp the education system in Pakistan, but also bring all those 26 million is the term number that has been used by our Prime Minister of out of school boys and girls back into the education system. It's a huge challenge, but a challenge nevertheless. To discuss different aspects of this and how important is education for a country like Pakistan, we've been joined by two guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. In the studios, we've been joined by Dr. Mohyuddin Ahmed Wani, Mr. Mohyuddin Ahmed Wani, Federal Secretary Education and Professional Training. Mohyuddin, thank you very much to have joined us. I call you doctor, so nevertheless you have a lot of experience. And our second guest is Faisal Bari. He's an educational economist. He'll be joining us in a bit as well. Mohyuddin, let me begin with you. The Prime Minister announces a 4-year education emergency to eradicate the blight of illiteracy, vows to get around 26 million out of school children enrolled, promote literacy. How important is this announcement? In your point of view, what needs to be done? How can we transform the educational landscape of Pakistan?
First thing which is new in this regard is an acknowledgement at the national level of this problem, because till this day there was no acknowledgement of this problem of out of school children. It used to be discussed in bits and pieces, in workshops, in conferences, in news media. So it's a acknowledgement not by the Prime Minister but all the provinces together, the area governments, all the multilateral, bilateral partners, all the educationists. So emergency has not been enforced, it has been invoked. Okay. So that invoked means that now it's the time to work together in a very collaborative manner. We have the diagnosis with us. Everybody knows what the problem is. There are multiple issues. It's an intersectoral issues. Issues are related to poverty, issues are related to security, issues are related to girls' education, issues are related to post-disaster hit on education infrastructure. It relates to inadequacy of teaching faculty in rural areas in south of Punjab and lagging districts in Sindh and Fata, and it relates to hunger, stunting in kids. So it's multifaceted in its aspects. So we have to address it in every angle. It's not a provincial issue, it's not a federal issue, it's a national issue. We have to work together, we have to reinforce each other's activities. We have the data with us, we know where the problem is. It was the only thing which was missing was a national will to work together to address this issue.
Now, Mohyuddin, you've got a lot of experience when you look at your past posts. You have served as Managing Director, Education Foundation, Punjab. You have been Chief Secretary of Gilgit-Baltistan, where you have initiated a lot of measures to revamp the education system in the area and also in the information technology sectors and the education sectors there as well. As far as the whole country is concerned, if we look at it in a broader perspective, do you feel the same measures that you took in Gilgit-Baltistan could be taken regionally in other regions of Pakistan? What are the short-term and long-term measures do you feel need to be implemented now on an emergency basis, and how should the federation and provinces work together?
The issue is national, but the solutions are local. So in some places it's extreme poverty, it's stunting, so you can top up the whole activity with a school meals program. In some places the logistical access is an issue. In some places security for girls is an issue. In some places absence of wash facilities is an issue. So we have to, and we know which district, which lagging district has which peculiar problem. So we have to customize solutions for those districts, and then we have to work, and to the extent of federal government will complement and supplement the efforts of the provinces, because they are on the ground, they have the data, we have the data also. So we will add up to those activities. There is a national out of school children challenge fund, 25 billion rupees, which has been approved by the CDWP. It is going to the ECNIC, and that will allow government to spend 100 million rupees per district for 5 districts for 5 years. And these will be performance grants linked to the performance of those districts to achieve certain KPIs regarding out of school children. Secondly, use of technology is very necessary, because where teachers can't reach what their technology reaches. So we have to devise, and there are digital solutions based on connectivity and offline solutions also. So we have to use a mix and match of both solutions to achieve these goals. Lastly, we have to encourage civil society, local religious forces to help us to build an ecosystem where people should realize that only solution for peace, for growth, for intersectorial harmony, interethnic harmony is to introduce education, to promote positivity in the environment. Staying kids at home, the kids, if they stay home, they will deprive the society from economic benefits, deprive the society from a socially integrated ecosystem, deprive the society from peace, and can promote extremism and other things. So there are multi-faceted solutions, and which have to be integrated at the national level, and it has to be reviewed quarterly by all the stakeholders, like you have done in the case of National Polio Task Force, where all the national players and the provincial players and the local players, they sit together, they review and they identify the gaps, they help each other. So it's more of a collaborative approach and cooperative approach.
All right, a collaborative approach, and an approach that all the stakeholders need to do together. Faisal, thank you very much, Faisal Bari, to have joined us. Obstacles to access, quality and equity in education persist, underscoring the need for a renewed commitment. The Prime Minister's stated resolve to personally oversee this initiative, and we are talking of the education emergency, and to collaborate across provincial and political lines enhances hope, but also raises the stakes for tangible outcomes. Now, Minister for Federal Education Professional Training, Dr. Khalid Siddiqui, has said the education sector needs immediate actions and urgent responses as Pakistan stands at the crossroads of destination with no option to lose. Whereas the UNICEF representative in Pakistan says over 70% of children aged 10 in Pakistan cannot read or understand text, is what he said, quote unquote. How do you see these statements, and what are the actions and responses that need to be taken? How can we work on a war footing to improve all the obstacles?
As you said, I think the statements that they have been made by these ladies and gentlemen show the state of education currently, and we have plenty of evidence of that. The out-of-school children numbers are there. They have been reported by PI, the Pakistan Institute of Education. These are based on the latest census numbers, so we are pretty sure that these numbers, the 26 million that are being talked about, plus minus error, are true, and they should have been in schools. The quality of education issues have been pointed out repeatedly by report after report, including the annual status of education report, ASER, in the last 8 or 7 surveys that they have done, with numbers as large as 150,000 children being tested on reading and writing. So the situation that is being described, and the inequality in our education system, is very clear from everything we know, from elite education to the children who can't come to schools or are not in schools due to poverty, or whether they have to work as child labor, etc. So that depiction of the dire state in which we are in is not untrue, is very true, is very alarming. The Prime Minister in a previous speech a few days ago had called it criminal negligence. I think it's a lot more than that. We have ignored education far too long, and we have not really invested in the human resource side, education, health, and social services as we should have done. And and this was pointed out even in the mid 90s and 2000s. There's a very old paper by, I think, Easterly that talked about the gap in Pakistan where economic performance is better than where their social sector performance is. And this is nothing new, nothing unexpected. These are outcomes of the choices that we have made in terms of policy space. Now, moving forward, the question that the second part of what you said had to do with, so what is to be done? And I think there, Wani Saab is very right in pointing out that the commitment has to be very national, very high, very persistent. It has to really monitor the situation at the highest level in the federation as well as in the provinces. But the solutions are very local. The solutions have to do with what is happening at the ground level. Where we don't have schools, we have to get schools. I mean, there are only two ways in which to get children to education, short of, say, online education. Either you get the school closer to children or children closer to school. In some places, you will have to do more schooling. In some places, make more schools, provide transport where you can't make schools, invite the private sector to come in to do private-public partnerships so that we can open more schools, and then the quality of education issues, which are extremely important to resolve. Right now, the 60-odd% of children that are going to public schools and the 35-odd% that go to what we call low-fee private schools, all of them require a lot of injection of quality education so that the education that our children are getting gets a lot better. It's only the elite sector, which is very small, 2, 3, 4% of our children, that are actually getting decent quality education. And most parents obviously can't afford that. So how do you increase that ambit of quality education? That requires very significant investments also, but in programs like the kind of programs that Wani Sahib was mentioning. In some places you will have to have nutritional programs, school meals. Other places you do teacher training, you provide more teachers, you ensure quality inputs in terms of curriculum, in terms of support materials that are provided, and you work on the governance structure of education, especially in the public sector, to make everyone in education a lot more accountable for what they are doing and what they are not doing. So it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of effort. And the key here is going to be, can we sustain that effort and commitment using the political pressure and other pressure for a long enough time to actually start moving the needle on some of these things.
That is very important, and I think you've raised a lot of important points. Mohyuddin, we both have studied from a government school, the Islamabad College for Boys. And I remember, I'm sure you also do, the quality of education that our teachers gave us, and that is why we stand where we are today. Your ministry recently organized a 7-day teacher training program in Islamabad, which was also attended by 200 teachers from government schools in Islamabad. You pledged to give more autonomy to teachers to raise the standard of education and prioritize the welfare of students. When we talk of decent quality of education, how important is the role of teachers, and how should our federal and provincial governments move forward towards teacher recruitment and training to address the gap of the vacant teacher positions nationwide as well?
You have asked so many questions in once. I'll address everything. Recently, I have not made a pledge, I have done it. I have given all the financial and administrative autonomy to the principals to make them more responsible and more accountable. So now I can make them accountable of their performances. That was the case in our days. Mr. Khalid, you are my class fellow also. My principal was the most powerful man in Islamabad. So he was fully authorized to do every activity to raise the level of education. Even the hire and fire was in control. So there was no bureaucracy, and there was a insulation of board of governors available to us in that government school. So that has to be brought back. So, but at this moment, what we have done is to make the principals very powerful. But I'm also keeping an eye on them based on certain incentives and certain performance indicators on which they will be given rewards and maybe punished for their non-performance. To the extent of teacher training, Bari Sahib is here. We have engaged LUMS also in our teacher training program. So with the brand of LUMS in Islamabad, with our organization called NEYAT, so they will work together to ensure quality training through digital material. Thirdly, we are arranging teacher training from best people in the market. So we are not relying on government training. We are engaging Aga Khan Foundation, Rupani Academies, NUST, and we are going to use all the technology tools available to us to make these people more tech savvy, to understand the modern skills of teaching, and which are more beneficial for our students. Secondly, we are introducing more and more technologies. We are allowing more space for the students to learn different social skills, freeing up space for their sports, We have started a school meals program in Islamabad. In every primary school, in next 2 months, every government primary school will have a school meals program. So the issue of 45% stunting or malnutrition will be addressed. The kids are more excited. We have invested a lot in improving we have reinvigorated the colors in the school to make them more attractive for the students. And so we are doing a lot of reforms. We are investing all our budget in improving the standards, the quality of teaching, the recruitment, everything for the betterment of our students.
All right. What about the STEM Mela 2024 that was recently organized under the project STEM Parks and Policy Unit to provide access to science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics to secondary school girls? I think that's very important. And the whole importance of STEAM, sorry, not STEM, but STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics education. How important is this collective education system to be imparted to girls and boys so that they can stand on their own 2 feet?
It's not STEAM alone. We have now introduced the entrepreneurship curriculum, which will be launched in the next session. We have designed a financial literacy curriculum, which will be rolled out in the next session in a very gamification manner. We have built up a new momentum of carrying out summer camps for the students of Islamabad schools and colleges, so that they can understand what is game development, what is AI, what is mind games. So they are engaged in summers in different productive knowledge activities. So a lot of things are happening in Islamabad.
All right, wonderful. And I hope they can be also happening in other parts of the country. Faisal, the development of a single national curriculum is also a major step. The introduction of education technology and latest interventions in schools located in Islamabad, which would be also a replicable model for the provinces and the area governments, is also another. Does, in your point of view, our curriculum need to be revamped? Secondly, how important is integrating technology to help bridge the gap between different regions and provide remote learning opportunities? Thirdly, how important is character education in shaping moral and responsible citizens? Because just imparting scientific education or artistic education is not important. There needs to be an amalgam of that with moral education as well to build citizens that are worthy of our society.
So, I mean, I personally don't think that the curriculum should be a single one. There should definitely be a national curriculum. And I think the government has removed the word single from it, and there is a national curriculum which should definitely be there. It should set the minimum standards that we promise every child that they will be able to reach that standard, whatever the grade, specific grades that they are. Singularity has a problem because the country is very diverse, it has very different needs and so on, and therefore my idea always was that the government went a bit too far in saying it will be a single curriculum. It should be a national curriculum, and that I think Islamabad now has done, and NCC has already made it up to grade 12, I think, and that will be adopted over time. And I think it's a fairly good curriculum. People have put in a lot of work in it. Margin pe, there will always be room for improvement, and there should be a regular process for updating curriculum every 2 years, 3 years. There should definitely be exercise. In terms of, but I do have some differences in terms of how education is done in the early grades. I think government has started to think about this and is starting to move there. Again, I think Islamabad is taking a lead in some of these things. But my own feeling is that we move far too quickly to the written word. In our early grades 1, 2, 3 should allow a lot more oral learning. They should focus a lot more on languages and mathematics. These are early years. Written word needs to come a little later. So your written assessment, written tests, all of these should come a little later in the curriculum and not from grade 1, grade 2. And that focus, I think, is now shifting. I think Islamabad now has a reading hour, which focuses a lot on reading and mathematics. And that needs to happen in other places also. We need to use mother tongue or local tongue or vernacular, whatever. If children are comfortable in the early years, as the means for oral teaching. Somebody who's very comfortable in Sindhi or Saraiki or whatever, when they come to school, you immediately shift them to Urdu or English, and that's not a good idea. So that early years need to be rethought and done differently, and there should be less emphasis on the written word and less emphasis on many other subjects that we have done. I think there is evidence, and this is not just by Pakistani people, but also people commenting from outside, that we just have too many subjects and too many SLOs, learning objectives, in every subject in the early years especially, but throughout up to grade 10 or 12, and we need to keep rethinking. Every time we do a review of the curriculum, we keep adding things to it without taking things out. We keep adding subjects rather than taking things out sometimes. If you look at the weight that the children carry every day to school, etc., even if you decide to keep all books in the school, that weight or intellectual weight of all these subjects and all these SLOs is way too much, and I think there is a review needed at that level. Technology, definitely. That's
All right. Thank you very much. We are a bit short of time, or else we would have continued with you. Faisal, last question. You wanted to add something to that, Mohyuddin?
The thing is that it's more of introducing new things without adding pressure on students for exams. So, and there is a tendency of making the syllabus very complicated. So, what is needed is gamifying and trying to teach students in a storytelling mode.
Right.
So make it interesting, so they should enjoy.
Right.
They should be under stress of memorizing things, and they should learn through playing.
Okay, that is what I hope will be happening. Mohyuddin, thank you very much to have joined us. Mohyuddin Ahmed, Wani.